I'm standing on the front line, and the Lord asked me what I did with my life, I will say I spent it with you. It's alright. If I wake up in World War III, I see destruction and poverty, and I feel like I wanna go home. It's okay if you're coming with me. It's alright. If I lose my fame and fortune, really don't matter, and I'm homeless on the street, Lord, and I'm sleeping in Grand Central Station, it's okay if you're sleeping with me. As the years they pass us by, we stay young through each other's eyes. And no matter how we get on, it's okay as long as I got you, baby. Your love is my love, and my love is your love, baby. It would take an eternity to break us.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Hxro Labs Live. My name is Random Task RT 555 on Twitter. Great to have you guys. I'm just looking over here at the music, not to be rude, but feeling the vibes today. You know, Whitney Houston, she just cycled into my playlist the other day. That song came on, just a banger from 1998 when I was about 11 years old, and just feeling it today, you know, the vibes. Like to set the stage, just good feels, you know, up, down, sideways, whatever this market is. We're out here together. We're all in the same boat, trying to make it, trying to get from where we were, where we are, to somewhere better. That's the goal anyways. And often that goal revolves around finance. That's what we do. We're in the market. But, you know, especially during times of sideways markets, I like to think that there's other ways we can improve our lives, improve ourselves, whether that's through nurturing our relationships or nurturing our hobbies or nurturing our self-care, getting our workout on. So anyways, that song just fills me up with the good vibes, all about love. And it happens to be a green day in the market after a pretty shitty month on the whole. Now, if you were in the AVAX eco, if you were in time's just been printing. It's been crazy. You know, there was some winners in September. Don't get it twisted. But for the most part, there was a drawdown. It was sideways and down. It was not exciting. It was I wouldn't say depressing, but it was just like boring and kind of like, oh. And then, of course, you see the bear targets, and everyone's like, well, anytime there's a trend to the downside, it's uncomfortable because you just don't know when it'll end. And you figure, oh, here's the level I think it will come back to. Here's the level it could or should come back to. And if it goes past that or never quite makes it, there's anxiety in the market. So very pleased to see when I woke up this morning at 6:30 a.m., getting ready for my personal trainer at 7 usually, and then I looked at the market, Bitcoin 46K, Ethereum over 3,000 again, and I just texted him. I said, dude, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. You don't come today because something went on in the Asian session, and I gotta hit the desk ASAP. So I've been on the desk pretty much straight through now, aside from a little session looking after my little man, who took up a good chunk of my arm space for the last few hours. But the fiance was kind enough to relieve me of duty for this live stream. So we're gonna get after it here in just a little bit. We got 47 people in the chat, or excuse me, on the stream, and I'm gonna hug us all. Yeah, man. So gonna turn up and ruin the music vibe. Uh-oh. Yeah. Let's get the tunes up, actually. I don't know. They might be really quiet now. Just like to bring a good vibe. It's Friday afternoon, man. TGIF, even if you're out of the 9 to 5 grind, like myself, even though, well, it still feels like a 9 to 5. It's just not a grind anymore. It's more like a 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., whatever that is. But yeah, Fridays is still Friday. And if nothing else, it's just when all your other friends get off work from their shitty 9 to 5 jobs. So all those friends that you told Bitcoin about Bitcoin back in 2017 who didn't listen to you, our hearts go out to them. Half of them did come around sometime in 2020, 2021. So I'm really happy to say a lot of my in real life friends are now here with us. Everyone's on the path, man. You got to make your choices. A lot of people don't like the risk. So if you're here, you're doing well. Even if you're not doing well yet, you're sputtering a little bit, you're just starting out, just remember everyone started there. With the exception of the guy on Twitter who's really loud about the big win he started out with. But for the most part, everyone sputters and stutters. And if you get big wins to start, sometimes it's even worse because then you just feel invincible and you don't understand the risks. Coming in with a hot loss early, ooh, baby, that'll steal your nerves and prepare you for what the reality is, which is that the market will take every single dollar of yours that it can and never give it back if you let it. So we're going to talk about good decisions today, as always, playing from strength. We're going to get into the charts here. Let me know if that music is too high, because I hear it, it feels great. But if it's a little too high versus the voice, then it's not good. It's supposed to be background music. It's not a music show. If you're breaking even while learning, you are winning. Trust me, 90% of people come into this market, they lose their shirt in the first couple of years. And that's like stock market facts. I don't even know if, who knows that exact number, but it's very high. The turnover rate is incredibly high. And, I know some counselors, I know some therapists in my life, and they all tell me they have a lot of day traders as clients. It's an incredibly stressful job. So not that I'm a day trader. I do make day trades, but I would not qualify myself that way. Let's get to the charts. I would say more of a midterm swing trader, at least in practice or in theory. That's what I like to be. Because think about it. If you can get into a position during a lull in the market, during, maybe even today, it's like if you can go buy today, but not financial advice, but I'm saying just say today, right? So let's just look at it. We got a naked Bitcoin chart here. Don't know why it's naked. I think, this is the one I had the meme all this stuff all over it. So I just said, today's the day. I'm going to take that off. So here's what we got, right? We got the big nasty bear market, absolute grossness. This was the capitulation, just disgusting. Sit down here in depression for a while. Wake up, 50% retag of that whole previous bull market, or bear market. Trickle back down, blah, blah, blah. We got the COVID. We build some strength back in the market. We think we're going to run it. We get rugged. We move sideways for a bit, and then we just go on this rip-face roaring rally through late 2020 and into mid 2021. So we've pulled back. We've kind of just come into this PCZ, as I like to call it. We're gonna pull that up here. Basically, maybe even a little further. Kind of dripped through it. It wasn't too clean on this. Didn't love that. Perhaps more of an RLZ situation. Didn't quite get there. It was just in no man's land. Oh, the worst. And now we've recovered. We come up here right into a short reload zone. So you got to think, damn, somebody's going to be looking to get out of their positions here. Someone's going to be looking to cut at this weekly resistance, and that's what we got. We washed the open interest. We washed and liquidated the market. We cleansed the market of the over-leveraged positions. Came back up into that resistance, broke down again. And then I think, well, things happen in threes, so we're going to get one more drip. We still might, but for today, we've started to move up. So going back to the idea of it being a midterm swing trader, think about how good it must feel. And I'm not even there yet. I still, admittedly, am a little scattered when it comes to, like, am I going to make this trade 1 week, 2 days, 6 weeks? But a midterm swing trade is when you're really like, you're looking for a swing position. So you're going to get into something through something like this and try to ride it out into a proper, like, 3 to 6 month position or 3 to 6 week position. I'm sure different people have different definitions. You get down here, you see some buy volume creep in. You say, I'm going to hop on board this thing because it looks ready to reverse. It's gone down quite a bit. I think it will squeeze up. Catch a swing position, come into something like a 618 fib and say, I'm going to cut that and wait for the next signal. That was a great trade. And, I'm not one to short, especially in a market like crypto that I just think is so fundamentally undervalued versus the global economy, which is kind of what it's entering into as an emerging market. So I suck at shorting, and I don't often take the ones that I think probably are an okay spot to do. But then you wait for this. And what we've been talking about, and I put in the newsletter this week, and we've talked about it ad nauseum in Discord and in DeltaFi on Wednesday, is the idea of waiting through this. Are we going to get another leg down? Are we going to just rally from here? Who knows? Don't stress on it. Don't sweat it. Was my thinking. I'm not going to worry about what comes next as much as what I'm going to wait for to take action, which was buy volume on the daily that would exceed the previous sell volume. We saw it here, right at the lows here at 29.5. Looked like we might have been bottoming, but we didn't. We dripped right back down to that level, and we got another bid from the bulls here on the volume. That was a really good signal. And for other reasons on lower time frames, I was already kind of thinking like, damn, this is probably a good place to get long. There was range lows, all this stuff. Now, as you guys know, if you watched the stream a few months ago, I chickened out on that one. I had bid set. I literally canceled and went to dinner. It was like a 15-minute chart. I canceled and went to dinner. Came back, it had bounced like $300. I was like, I guess I missed it. And then this happened. So no big deal. But the idea was, it was this buy volume. Even looking back now, you can think that easy to see in retrospect. But you use that kind of stuff to learn for the future. So coming into this drip here, where's that buy volume? Bears have been in control. That's what this is. The big sells on the down days and the small buys on the up days. That's bears in control. That's a downtrend. So if I'm thinking about midterm swing, right? If you're getting long here, anywhere here, if you want to buy here, you want to buy here, you want to buy here, whatever it is, you're getting into that position. I would assume I'm getting into that position to catch a whole other leg. So exactly where I do it doesn't really matter that much as long as I'm fairly sure that the trend is about to resume up. To wait for that, or reverse up in this case, because it had been going down through the last couple of weeks. So for waiting for that, I was looking for buy volume. On the daily. Now the daily's not closed yet. It closes in about 6 hours, so we could get some. I have a feeling it's not going to exceed this candle, this one here. And I don't think it has to. What we've started to see though is a reversal here where, we've got some sellers. Now the bulls are starting to wake up. Is it a clear as day signal? Is it, an absolute nuke candle, God candle that I wanted to see? No, but that might be good. Might give us some hints about where we want to get in without necessarily like taking off without me. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, last night there was a little signal on the 4 hour, arguably, and that could have been right here as the 4 hours, this candle right here yesterday, and then a little consolidation. I was looking at the chart and I was tempted to just kind of dollar cost average, and I did buy some things like Woo and ICE and Spell, because those are coins that don't trade versus Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin Dominance is going to go on a big rip-roaring rally, I think they'll do better versus USD than perhaps a coin on Binance that's easily dumped in size for Bitcoin. That's one thing maybe we should talk about today, the idea of Bitcoin Dominance taking over. And then obviously you get the breakout candle really like overnight through the European Asian session, just before the European session, and then just, taken off. So this does look like a breakout, obviously, right? And so the question is now, like, how can I then say, okay, Maybe I'm not full bore going all in right here because it's still not quite the daily I wanted to see or whatever. I haven't even really decided that yet for myself. It's been a bit of a busy day. But what I do know is I'm not really rushing to buy this. What I did do, admittedly, is I took 7% of the stable reserves that I had and I just bought it this morning. I said, fuck it. Yeah, it's up. It's a green candle, whatever. I'm thinking midterm swing. I'm thinking get into position. I've been fairly good about protecting capital through September and even growing some with some AVAX plays. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to treat myself to a FOMO full buy of a small percentage of my portfolio just to say that no matter what happens from here, I've started shifting the needle. But what I'm really looking for is a place that I can play from strength with more size. And so in this case, it's a pretty clear bet for 45,000, right? 45 is already a level from previous support resistance battles, and it's the kind of level that I would expect to get tested. So, aside from easing my FOMO this morning and just buying a little bit, that's a level I'll be looking for in the coming days and weeks. And the thing about it, and this is what sucks, is if you want to be a midterm swing trader and you're waiting for a breakout on the daily, but you're also looking to buy a dip, there's a big gap between your signal to be long into the trend and then the next higher low, which can come in days later, maybe even a week later. And of course, it could come in at a higher price. So it does blocking some volume with your face. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah. Actually, I made a shot. Oh, I deleted it. I had a shot without my face on it, just for that reason. Anyways, I'll see if I can try to avoid that. Oh, yeah, it's on this. I know the exact part you're doing it because I've rewatched a video back one day for like that purpose to see how much it, could improve. And anyways, this was the volume I was talking about from July. But yeah, it's the trickiest part of midterm swing trading is waiting for a signal, which is like, hey, we're going to go up now. And then waiting for the dip after that, because they can be a week apart. So on a day like today, full of adrenaline and dopamine, you're just still kind of like, okay, I'm not in position, but I hope it doesn't leave me. And that takes a lot of discipline. I have some discipline, but not full discipline. Part of my plan is to ease the FOMO of making other stupid choices by just punting in a little bit. So I don't really have to worry about what if it takes off without me, because it often doesn't, especially we're still sitting in fear town. Which is why I did some DCAing in the last couple of weeks, because I've just started to learn that even if I think because of my TA, I don't want to overthink it, right? So my TA says, we're going to go lower or we're in a downtrend. But then fundamentally and objectively, maybe quantitatively, I look at this, I say, man, it's an extreme fear. It's a little bit irrational given, what we're looking at, which is basically just a small pullback after an insane rally. So, is that irrational? Should I be buying that fear? Maybe selling it back to greedy people later? That's the idea. So it worked out in summer with Solana, buying up the lows, and it worked out ridiculously well. And that's not like, look at me bragging. I'm impressed because it's the first time I've really bought fear like that as well. And it was right around here, and things were just so droopy and gross, and it was extreme fear. And I just decided, I'm going to start DCAing into some of these names because this is ridiculous. And as it turns out, I almost bought the bottom with one of them. Not size, right? Just nibbles. But looking back, you're like, holy shit, why would someone buy there? You can't put size into a market like that. Personally, I can't, because it's so ridiculously downtrendy. But you reduce size. I take maybe 1 or 0.5% of my portfolio, and I just start nibbling at a few different Solana names, and then I don't care if it keeps going down because I can do another percent. And so that's something I wrote up in the newsletter back in the summer, the idea of a DCA strategy based on extreme fear and extreme greed. So when you're in an extreme fear state in the market, or even just a fear, and you can have a different rule for each section, it's like every time that the market is in extreme fear on each day, I will buy 0.25% of my portfolio into 5 different assets, or every other day or every 5 days, whatever it is, right? Depending on the market. Crypto moves fast, so probably not every 5 days. And then every time that market goes into a greed state or an extreme greed state, I will take off 1 or 2% of each of those positions. And imagine you just did that kind of dollar cost averaging swings through the market indefinitely. Every time it's extreme greed, you're just trimming. Every time it's extreme fear, you're just slowly adding. I think that as just a robotic strategy for some small part of a greater portfolio could do really well. Obviously, I'd like to even go a step further and add some TA on top of that. So in those moments of extreme greed and fear, I'm actually picking targets based on throwbacks or based on, extensions. It gets more complicated, but on a very simple sort of basis. That, I haven't back tested it, and I'm forward testing it now. And in Solana, it absolutely smacked. And I think through the last few weeks and days with things like ICE. Oh God, ICE looks good. So we're going to talk about ICE today. Somebody actually already asked in the chat, so we'll definitely get into ICE. Keo Dark, hello. Nice to see you. I've got to remind myself to get into the chats as well, guys. Sometimes I just get fired up and forget. Seem to be, zoomed out on my YouTube. There we go. Yeah, Solana, FTM, AXS, Chads of the day. Okay, so I saw AXS, Coach Popovic in the chat there will remember, and Messi teased me the other day. He says, "Are you finally going to make money shorting this thing?" Well, you'll be happy to know I never did actually go and try to short it, because I just don't like shorts. It was kind of a down market. It's like a weird thing. Very pleased with myself today, having seen this, and even this morning it came up into here, and I was like, "Ooh, it's in the short reload zone," and I was like, just focus on what I'm bullish on that has way better upside than buying and getting a little pullback or something, right? Never showed a dull market, they say. So anyways, this is Popsicle Finance. I need to pull up a tweet. Because there was a little article that went out today that I think is worth a read. And for lack of a more corny analogy, what you guys should know is that on this show, if I get into a coin, talk about it, it's really just the tip of the iceberg, right? There you go. Here's my dad joke of the day. It's really just the tip of the iceberg. I'm not here to, here's a coin and I'm so bullish on it, so skip your research and just buy it. No, don't do that. Because at the end of the day, you want to take responsible for your wins and your losses. I cannot be responsible for that. So I'm going to talk about Popsicle Finance a little bit today, because each day, each week, I just get a little more bullish on it. I'm adding to it. I have a pretty sizable position percentage-wise, as far as things that I've been adding to. This is one of my bigger positions. And then this came out today, and this was from Austin Barak on Twitter, Coin Fund's investment thesis. So he's kind of laid out his investment thesis, and I think that that's a really nice piece of research, in that he basically summarizes what their thoughts are on it. And I thought one of the more perhaps tangible comparisons that he made was regarding herein finance. Right, so in the sense that they made major innovations and attracted significant capital tackling yield optimization for lending protocols and stable swaps dexes, Popsicle is doing that for AMM DEX LP positions. So if you just want to draw that comparison, say, oh, herein finance did really well, they did this for that, well, Popsicle is doing this for that. And as far as I know, on a multi-chain basis, they're the first ones doing it. Now, there's also this other element to this as a trader that I love. And that is that Popsicle Finance was hacked earlier this year. Now you think, well, why would you love that, RT? I don't love that, okay? Hear me out. I love that perhaps the market, now you look at this chart today, you're like, oh, the market's not sleeping on that, it's rallying. But in a sense, even just a month ago when I first heard about this, Popsicle Finance, I was like, oh, that's the one that got hacked, right? I never looked into it before it got hacked, never looked into it obviously after, because I'm like, oh, thank God I dodged that freight train. And so there is that common misconception, I think, in the market still. A lot of people that I've even mentioned this to have been like, isn't that the one that got hacked? Like, it's a stain on the name. And so, but there's more to the story. Now, look, hacks, exploits, they're terrible. They can happen to anyone. There's incredible devs who make incredible new products, and they can have them audited, done properly, all their due diligence, and then something goes wrong. Somebody perhaps figures out something that no one else thought of, and they hack it. They exploit it. And so is it a negligence thing? I don't think so. In this case, I'm sure it was not, based on who the lead dev is, and that's Daniel Sesta on Twitter. Also the founder of Spell and Abracadabra, as you guys probably know by now if you watch the stream. We've talked about him quite a bit. And not only that, they talk about it in, we'll go in here. They talk about it in the article. He addresses that in their thesis. And so you can kind of read about it here. But just the idea that, the community behind it. And I guess it would be better if I could just read that. The hack that occurred in August completed 2 hours, although a definite setback, and inspired a team and community to dig deeper and build bigger. Sentiment never sourced. A robust plan was approved to compensate those affected. In other words, and I know for a fact Daniel put a lot of his own money into repaying everyone who was hurt by that. So, I mean, this guy, he's in it. And so they've got more audits done on this. But that stain in some people's minds who haven't really done their research is probably still there. They're like, oh, that's the one that kind of, maybe that's unsafe. And so in that sense, I think it's undervalued perhaps even more. And so, picking some up through this consolidation, picking some up down here, even adding just this week, I'm just trying to build a position because I have a broader vision of this thing, getting off these lows. Yeah, the hack was terrible and it really took it down. But they haven't even launched their product yet, but it's coming. And I think other than in our own little echo chamber of, the pit and our Twitter, and I say our, like Messi, I know, has been tweeting a bit about this. He's bullish on this one. Outside of that echo chamber, I think the vast majority of the market is sleeping on this. And so I'm really bullish on Popsicle Finance. I just wanted to, get that out. I was feeling inspired by this thesis today. I did tweet it out earlier, so if you just go check my Twitter at randomtask555 and you can read this yourself. It's a nice little summary. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that the revenue stream for this is fees charged on performance of the LP strategies. And those fees are captured in the protocol and then used to buy ICE off the market and then distribute it to the N-ICE stakers. So when you stake ICE on the platform, you get N-ICE. That essentially is paid out with the fees and the team as well through that mechanism. So they're just sitting there right there with you, as far as I know, and that's how everyone makes anything they might make off this. So could price go up? Sure. Could the staking rewards get paid out while price going up? Sure. And that's kind of a double whammy that I'm excited about. But as ever, find your own risk tolerance, do your own research, decide if this fits your thesis. Do you think DEX, liquidity, LPs, strategies, all that stuff will be popular? And then if so, find your own entry, set your own risk limits. Does this thing end up down at $2 and then like you find out that I, had a stop loss at 6 and I didn't lose anything and you did? Like, just don't copy trade. It's not what the show's about. But there's my long-winded take on this chart. I just think it's probably my top 3 pick for the next 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, long-term, mid-term, whatever you want to call that. I really like it. And I'm very just kind of comfortable, but only putting in things that I don't need in the near term. So that's one. Spell, Abracadabra. I can't get enough of this thing, man. Every time I learn more about it, it's just ridiculous. They're unlocking so much value. Yield-bearing assets borrowed against. So the yield-bearing asset sits there in the Abracadabra vault and just grows because it's a yield thing, like it's a LP for a 3 pool, or it's like a memo token. They just went live this morning. That's the staked time. And all the while, your collateral is just sitting in that growing while you can borrow Magic Internet money against it, which sounds funny if you haven't heard of it yet, but it's MIM. It's a stablecoin. Which is second or third now with like 1 billion in circulation. But every single one of these is backed by a yield-bearing asset through the Abracadabra protocol. So it's not, like a lot of these things, even USDC, USDT, it's like, well, what is it backed by? Well, it's backed by the US dollar, which is kind of like the meme, the money printer, and it's losing 2% a year, 4%. Is it going to be 8% this year? Who knows? Whereas these are dollars, but they are backed by yield-bearing assets, and so it's a pretty exciting thing. And again, with the S spell and the fees and stuff like that, is all driven back to the stakers of the spell token. So those are 2 protocols, both with the same dev, both that I'm very bullish on. And they're really the only 2 things I've been adding. In general, it was like, hey, let's wait for that Bitcoin breakout on volume before I get too saucy again. But in this case, I wasn't really waiting for that. I've been DCing into Spell and Ice for better part of a month now. And those are just 2 plays that, again, knowing the founder. I mean, look, Popsicle Finance got hacked, $30 million taken, and everyone was made whole. 1/3 of that by the dev himself. If that does not instill trust, I don't know what does. And yet, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee you shit, because that's not what I do. But I really like the risk profile for that one, risk reward. Okay, now Woo is another one. Somebody else brought it up on stream the other day. I had it on my watch list for like months. I had been in and out once or twice through this. But then I looked again. I was like, holy shit, they brought it up on stream the other day. We're just breaking out, I think. And the nice big volume to, like, I mean, look at this. This is signaling not just, ooh, the number went up a bit, but like this is signaling another, in my mind, when I see this, I think leg up. And leg up means new highs. And new highs usually means a fib extension. And at this point, even a generous fib extension would be something like that, like $2. So, my thinking is like, is this, at the high of this, do I want to buy? No, I don't want to buy that. I added a little here. I added a little more this morning on the dip. And can I get a double? It's at 93 cents. I think my cost base is probably like low 80s, mid 80s. Can I get a double in there and then I have a free bag of Woo for whatever that liquidity protocol turns into? Sure, I think so. So that's a play for me for Q4. I really like this breakout, and I think that has to do with the DYDX fun and hype. They may be providing some liquidity to them, and they're booming. So those are the three things. And if you follow me on Twitter, you already knew that. But now I've got to put a little color on it with the charts and all the good stuff. Maybe let's zoom out again. Mini futures on the S&P looking much better today. This is not a stock show, but I will do my best to put a little color on this, because I know the whole world was watching as this trend kind of broke down. And it's not on the chart right now. Actually, it could be. The 100 MA, I don't use the 100 anywhere, but I saw a few people mention it on Twitter as like a big thing in stocks, so maybe it is. But we lost the 100 yesterday, and a lot of people were shitting their pants about today's open. And then today's open came and kind of like dipped down and sprung back up. Front ran support, bullish divergences. I don't trade the S&P, and this is kind of why. It's like it's in this like never-ending rising wedge on never-ending bearish divergence, and every time it just dips and keeps going and dips and keeps going. Like it's not something I understand. It's not something I know, and frankly, I just don't see the returns there being nearly as asymmetric as crypto. And just the whole dusty, UI, UX of trading stocks is just terrible compared to me being born in things like Binance, loving the quick and dirty and simple UI, UX of crypto. So that's my take on this, in the sense that this could very well be done, this dip. Not, take that from a guy who doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to stocks. But this, to me, could just be another one of those general little scam dips. And, the guy this morning say, well, we lost the 100, so we're screwed. And then I look back and I'm like, well, we lost the 100 here. 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 And we lost it here. We lost it here. We lost it here. Yeah, we lost it there. We lost it there. Didn't turn out so well short term. But one trend that we can say for sure is that no matter what happens to this market, it seems to always just end up going up. And if it doesn't, and it ever just completely just fully shits out, probably have bigger problems than our 401ks, let's just say. Who knows? I don't have a 401k, but you know what I'm saying. So that's my hot take. The Dixie broke out this week, put a little pressure on the markets. Obviously, Bitcoin stood up to this big God candle yesterday, and that should have been a signal, I think, to a lot of people. And I think some people did pick up on that. I noticed some buzz on Twitter saying if Bitcoin was like sitting on the edge of a cliff and the Dixie came and shoved it and Bitcoin just went and didn't move, then go figure, the second the Dixie stops at resistance, Bitcoin shot up $4,000 today. Like, there was some inherent strength in not losing the lows yesterday. And that's not something to be ignored. Or was it 2 days ago? I guess Wednesday. Generally not something to be ignored. I stuck to my guns as far as like kind of like wait and see. But like I said, not sleeping on opportunities to dollar cost average into midterm positions that I like, which was like Woo, Ice, and Spell. And Secret, not nearly as much. Very nibbly on this one because it's just a weirdly illiquid, low volume coin. But I love Secret Network. I love the narrative of DeFi with a privacy layer and a whole network built on that as a main feature. I think where a thesis goes, DeFi ends in privacy. That's it. I just don't see massive amounts of capital flowing in over the next 4, 5, 10 years, 20 years. And like living on a fully transparent chain. They'll want privacy, and if it's not an L2 or other protocol, it'll be a baseline protocol like Secret, maybe. So even the narrative of could it be, I think, could really drive this thing in the next year. So that's, again, that's not like, ooh, trade this, that. Like, it's really just like nibble, 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 throw it in my Kepler wallet, chill, stake it even. And then, they got some stuff coming up this week. We talked about Monero Bridge going live early October, bridging Monero for the first time into DeFi. And that's pretty impressive, and that's a privacy coin. So could be like the beginning of the waking up of Secret Network with that Monero Bridge. We'll see. So again, don't know. So I'm just kind of adding slowly over time. Let's get to the chat. It's really far up to the right today. I'm going to bring it over here so I can see it properly. There we are. All right, let's take a look here at the chat. Nice to see you guys here. We are up to 124. Welcome, everybody. And if you're in from TRI today, I know Beamish couldn't make his daily brief today. So he asked me in the chat, or I offered actually before he asked, said I'll do a little, I'm already going to be live today, so come on over here. So if you're from TRI today and you're checking in lieu of the daily brief, welcome. Kaisn, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but get out of here with that. Says thanks for the financial advice. Back off. My only financial advice to you is to manage risk and don't listen to people on YouTube about anything when it comes to your money. Woo could be perfect, and including myself. God damn it. Get out of here. You know what? Just for that, we're running the disclaimer. Okay, welcome back. Magician gives you a rabbit instead of your mim. Abracadabra. Boom. Woo could be a perfect PCZ op. Oh yeah, let's take a look at that. Yeah, and that's really what you got to think, right? Because it is, it is something. If I want to chase this, how can I chase it? Well, get out my little 382.5, and it's kind of there. Like that was the dip this morning. I'd love to sit there and be like, oh, that's why I bought it this morning. I actually just saw the red candle and I was like, I'm just gonna get some. I don't always have the luxury of doing all the things I teach about doing. Sadly, I'm a fraud. No, it's more just that I was looking after the baby today, so I was just like, baby in one hand. It's a weird day. Everyone off those SPX dips related to options expiry. Okay. Foo Bear. That's an interesting take. You see, that's why I really try to shy away from talking about the SPX, because I don't know shit. It's just not a market I know. I can tell you TA on a chart about anything, price of peanut butter, but there's more to it. And Foo Bear says every one of those dips on the SPX, my mouse will come back, there it is. Every one of these dips, he says, was to do with an options expiry, which just makes sense. Let's run the market down, make the most amount of options expire worthless, because we're options writers and we're whales and we move markets, and then we'll just run it up higher. Oh, and then we'll do it again, and then we'll do it again. Imagine being able to move the NYSE or the NASDAQ or the S&P just to favor your own options writing, and then calling crypto a scam. That would be rather hypocritic. Hypocrisy? Shit, damn it. Shut up. Okay, I don't know that word. I lost that word in my brain fart just now. Hey RT, hearing a bit about SYN on Twitter. Can you take a look? Not sure if it's broken out or not. Okay, SYN, is that Solana based? SYN. No? Sushi? Put a little context on that question. Hippocratic? Yeah. Hypocritical. There it is. Thank you, Brendan, for sparking the idea. Hypocritical, yeah. I couldn't find it. It's a funny thing. The human brain is fantastic. Now, synapse. Okay. Is this, I don't know if I want to say it's like let's just start here. It's a bridge. Something to do with Solana. This is like the third time I've heard of this week, and that's usually not something to ignore. Synapse, Discord token. Yeah, it does not. NRV rebrand. Okay, NRV rebranded to Synth Floods coin. Okay. Okay. A little bit of context. AVAX play done or chilling for a bit while the market steals the rest of the spotlight. Yeah, we'll talk about AVAX. I have mixed opinions on AVAX. Super bullish, midterm even and long term, but for the short term, I wonder if it's gonna squeeze the late bulls. We'll see. I don't know. I did buy some back this morning. It was essentially like a short being stopped out because I had taken some profits into the weekend in like whatever level, high 60s. And I just told myself, like, if we get that God candle or if Bitcoin looks like it's breaking out, if we look like we're going to reverse, I'm just going to buy back, probably a couple bucks more expensive. Whereas I was trying to capture a 10 or $15 down move. So I did buy back some of my AVAX this morning just purely on that. It was like, I can't use buy stops because it's Trader Joe, but okay. Synapse protocol. Bridge. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too many thoughts on this one, so we're just going to look at the chart. Yeah, it's in the zone. Can already see it's in the zone. So, if something breaks out on huge volume, there's probably some announcement here or just a realization that something's live or dope or awesome. Maybe a narrative being pushed by a certain number of influencers, whatever. And then, getting into the zone is suddenly where I can start to be a bull and say, well, I can't chase this. This could go on forever and it could just dump but at least here I have a bit of a frame for my risk. Now I even have a wick down here I could look to risk against. Even though it's sushi swap. So again, probably not getting those stop losses in, but it's an area I would like. And then, even better, you're consolidating through here, volume's dying down, and then you get this breakout on volume this morning, the 4 hour. And a retest of that breakout level. So yeah, like many things in the market today, I think we're seeing a lot of this, where it's been consolidation, whatever, little triangle, little channel, and then we just have this bullish market structure, a low, a higher low, a breakout making a higher high than here, and even than here. And so now it's like, hey, can I get a higher low? Because in an uptrend, right, where do I want to get long? First, I want to identify that there's an uptrend, and then I want to find the next higher low. And that's why I use this tool so much. This, the 382, oh, it's actually upside down right now. Damn. Forgot to click reverse off. Whoa, okay, so not as clean an interaction. Still kind of works. Unfortunately, it is not a very clean tool sometimes, especially on AMMs where you can't set limit orders. Tools like this will be cleaner on centralized exchange books because a trader can set a limit order right at that level. A trader can set a stop loss right at a level. Whereas on AMMs, there's a lot more noise and drip because maybe I said I want to buy this, but I don't even wake up till it's here and then I buy there, but the price got down there because I was sleeping, for one particular lay example. So anyways, that doesn't really change all of this, what we have here. What we have here is a very strong rally on volume and then a pullback into a reload area. In fact, I think it probably did hit the reload zone on that wick. Let's go see. Boop. Yep. So, and we'll just put that on there. Gotta color it in a bit. Bing. Okay, so a little ugly, but yeah, we did get into that reload zone just a little bit on that wick. So if you're trading 618s, that was a sick fill. I tend to, in a hot market, be more like up here. But for the last month, we've been more of a reload zone kind of community, haven't we? Speaking of reload zones, one of my favorite old boys with a love-hate relationship here on ID, but it's breaking out. It's starting to break out. And that's exciting for guys like me who was getting long through here, feeling like a champ through here, took some off, but only like 25%, and then reloaded it very much too quickly during, this was the spring rally. So I was thinking, oh, buy the dip. Then it all rolled over. And frankly, my position had gotten to a point where I didn't really just want to dump it on the market like this person did. And just eventually, essentially they sold below the bottom. So I just decided to hold it as an FA play. I really like it. I think their L2 Everchain, fully regulated credit to CRDT stablecoin, I think, can do really well. It's just not live yet. This is just an idea right now. But they have their multi-license. One of the only other companies that has that is Crypto.com, CRO, multi-billion-dollar market cap. And this one, I don't even know what it is now. It's probably sub 100. So in a broad, very crass, lazy comparison, just simply based on that, does this thing have even a couple of X's in it, maybe, where it's just catching up based on a multi-license that's extremely hard to get and takes years? Maybe. That's not why I'm doing it, but that's one nice little thing about it. But I think the the Everchain that will connect and can bridge between a whole bunch of and underpin a bunch of different blockchains, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, Avalanche, presumably, although they didn't mention that explicitly. Polygon, Phantom? I don't know. It wasn't mentioned explicitly, but he basically said we can plug into any other as like an L2 and then provide identity solutions on those chains, amongst other things like stablecoin swaps and blah, blah, blah. So there's just a lot going on there, and I think it's more of a longer term play, I guess. I was hoping it would just move from here, but here we are now, and I'm a community member. Nice to meet you all. But if I didn't know this coin at all, this would be a setup I'd look for, right? Come into the lows, just wait for it. Ooh, nice little bit of volume coming in. Okay, cool. Let's get that reload zone. Down in the reload zone, and then we get that same thing we just looked at, right? The low, the higher low, the breakout with some volume. So, in this area now, I get pretty excited. I don't know that I'm going to add more. There's been a bit of an opportunity cost associated with my existing bag. And frankly, if this thing runs into multiple dollars, I will be sitting fairly, comfortably. So I don't know that I need to add to that party, that potential, but it is tempting. And if you are fortunate enough to have never owned any of this, I think this week's probably an okay time to go do some research about it and decide for yourself if you think I'm full of shit or if you see what I see. Because I know some of the guys in here from TRI are probably looking at this saying, oh yeah, that looks like a snack. This is the kind of down markets we like to hunt over there. In the reload zone, off the bullish divergence, blah, blah, blah. So it's got everything working for it. So I wanted to make sure that was on the air today. Secret versus Bitcoin, okay, let's talk Bitcoin dominance. This is an important topic here going to Q4 because we haven't really seen any juice out of Bitcoin all year. God, did I just say that? Because Bitcoin ran to 65K. But even through this, as Bitcoin, I guess this was when Bitcoin was kind of like through its topping. God, I feel a little confused on that point. Let's go figure out what the hell I'm talking about before I say it. Oh man, it's still pushing up 47.7. Let's go. The stronger the breakout, the better. I don't care. It's like, oh, I didn't deploy everything I wanted to. Don't care. I want maximum volume, maximum size, maximum hype on this thing. So don't get it twisted. Whether or not I am fully loaded on something or not, Bitcoin mooning is always good for the long side of crypto. Now let's look here. Bitcoin came up into the highs in February. Okay, so basically from February until May, Bitcoin didn't really move. So let's go see how that looks on dominance. So it's really here, right? Like Bitcoin, this was, I guess, the meat of the Bitcoin rally, dominance rising, and then we came into the new year, January 1st, and Bitcoin dominance has just been sliding. Everything else in the market has been outperforming Bitcoin. So it's been a sucker's bet for a lot of people. The altcoin traders, they get cocky. The ETH maxis come out in force. Everyone says Bitcoin's for dinosaurs and it's the gold of crypto. Or you know what I mean? But subtle little hint here in June 21st that it came in and it did a low, bounced up, higher low, and then broke out. That was a technical reversal on the weekly. And then started to just keep going, which is what I thought it would do at the time. And it didn't. Actually, we should be on the 20. The 20 MA is the one that I want on this chart, not the 520. I don't even think that exists yet. It hasn't been long enough. There we go. Now turn it on. So the 20 EMA is one I've been tracking. It gave us a really nice signal here as far as like a retest at the trend line. This was a pretty sweet area to be thinking about buying dips on altcoins as I presented it at the time. And as it turns out, once we lost this level, it was just total free fall, right? This was Ethereum, this was ADA, this was Solana, I believe, just dog tokens, of course, at the time. So we're down into this zone now that we've been kind of highlighting. I think I even moved it down 1-2 weeks in a row because analysis is all about using the latest information for your best possible future indicator. And, this is a reload zone of that breakout. So just like those altcoins, you wait for the breakout, the volume, and then you wait for it to drip in here. We could be seeing Bitcoin dominance positioning itself for a midterm swing to the upside. I think to really call it a midterm swing to the upside, I'd probably want to wait for this 20-week moving average. This could just be chop. And in fact, I've got a fairly large consolidation zone drawn out here for what it's worth. So, even if we do this. Knock down by the moving average, break through the moving average, retest the moving average, and then like, you know, even if we did this all of next year, like that'd be so sick for altcoins, and Bitcoin could be going up, whatever, but dominance wise, it's just staying on par. Where it gets painful for altcoins is if we were to get above this level, that and like, you know, getting up into that trend line resistance. And that's kind of like, well, what would the narrative that would drive that? What about an ETF? You know, what about Taproot that's talking about bringing smart contracts over to Bitcoin, or some other kind of L2, like the tipping thing going on with Stripe, or no, Wombo? I don't know. There's the Bitcoin tipping Lightning Network integration to Twitter. So there's all kinds of things that could come out that could shift the narrative, that could push Bitcoin into the six figures, multiple six figures. And that's the kind of thing that will suck the life out of altcoins versus Bitcoin. Am I saying this is going to happen? This is not a prediction. This is like, let's be aware of the risks of positions we're taking today, so we're not on the wrong side of a big swing tomorrow. And there's a little bit of work to be done down here. So, but this is just the way I'm thinking. And on that note, that's also why I'm more bullish on things like ICE, Spell, Woo, because those coins don't trade on Binance. They don't trade on Coinbase. They don't trade on anywhere where there's like high liquidity market makers pushing around price versus Bitcoin. And that's where you get those like waves of red candles when Bitcoin pumps, and all of those articles, or all of those altcoins basically just melt versus Bitcoin at the same time. But on AMMs, don't trade against Bitcoin. Numbers are going up. So nobody's rushing to sell those, because what are they going to sell them to? ETH? Maybe wrapped Bitcoin, I guess. But I just find that they don't get impacted as much in my experience. So that's why I'm thinking about non-centralized exchange altcoins that don't trade directly against Bitcoin. I think that gives me a little bit more edge versus perhaps some of the more popular names that do trade directly versus Bitcoin with high liquidity. Does that make sense? Did I get that all out there? Fire it up right now. I just feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. Don't watch this on 1.5 speed. Your head's gonna spin. Let's take a deep breath. I'm gonna read the chat while I hit the vape and drink some water. Ooh, another airdrop coming to GB holders. That's cool. I was speculating on GB a little bit. I held like 1,000, but I did sell like my trade bag. Capitulated it. Just wasn't really, I don't know what the hell it's going to do. I just still don't know who's behind it. It's probably going to be a good fun meme play, but I don't know. Wasn't feeling it. Can't believe you haven't talked about AVAX yet. I know. What the hell? It's almost like I sold all my bags. I didn't, but let's go check out AVAX. So this is my view of AVAX, for better or worse. And this is what I was thinking. If we don't reverse right away, if Bitcoin does get another leg down, can I get a load up? Can I get a reload? And so I had this kind of idea drawn up in my head after we lost this pennant, after we retested the pennant on the Coinbase listing and then kind of lost it again. I thought, oh damn, like all else considered, this looks like it needs to just cool down. It's been making new highs even as Bitcoin trended down, which is very strong, yes. But it also speaks to an ebb and flow in the market where perhaps now other things like Solana, that has been basically moving sideways and down for about a month, maybe that now takes a little bit of shine back from the market, and this guy just likes to cool off well. Because the thing is, when you get up here, and it's like, it's heavily talked about, it's very popular, and what you do is you draw in a lot of other capital and a lot of perhaps weaker hands that are just there because it's the thing going up. And so their resolve is not very strong. And so you have essentially like a weak holder profile at these highs. Easy to get them out. And as you saw that here, a pretty sharp sell-off, maybe a little capitulation down here, although we're not seeing it on the volume. Point being, yeah, I think there's room, there's probably some sellers baked in this chart. Today, how does my idea change? Is this rally today enough to get me to change my mind? Not really. I did add some back, like I said earlier, because I was trimming, I don't know, little bits here, there. I don't know exact prices, but I was unloading some of my risk as the market looked a little shakier. And then once we lost this and the Coinbase listing came out, I sold probably half of what I had left. So I was sitting maybe 4%, 3% exposed directly to AVAX token, down from like 20. So, I took profit. I locked some in, and then and then I added some of that back today. I just said, okay, got out with the last bit here, gonna get back in right here because things just look bullish, and maybe I was wrong. Really no harm, no foul. Maybe some slippage, maybe some fees, but for the most part, not a big deal there. Pretty friendly stop loss. Now, is there big buy volume here today? Nope. Are we back in the trend line that we lost? Nope. But weirdly, now that I look at it on the 4 hour, this trend line is still intact. There's an uptrend taking place here. And that goes back to the TRI theory. So shout out to you guys if you're still here watching. You guys know if this trend line is lost like this, the trend is still intact until you get bearish market structure on the other side of the trend line. But interestingly, and I actually did just notice this now, we haven't really lost any of the lows, right? We put in a low, we put in a higher low, we put in a higher low. So we don't have an M in price on the other side of the trend line. So this trend is still intact. So that feels good about my sort of get back in thing here. Now, I didn't get back all of it. I had a friggin' ridiculous, like, percentage-wise bag exposure to AVAX because I just fucking love the thing. Like, the DeFi on there is just incredible. I just don't see how this thing doesn't moon. And then you look at these, you look at this volume, you think about Rush, you think about all of the liquidity and users that kind of incentive program will drive in. And look, there's been a lot of complaints about Rush, like, oh, when Rush, next week, this week. Look, it's going to run for months. It's not like, oh, it's going to be on and then there's going to be a rush, and it's in the name, but like, and then in 2 weeks it's done. I mean, this liquidity program, these rewards, these incentives are going to run for months. And as they start, they're going to roll out in tranches. It's not going to be like 300 million or whatever it is now, 10 million tokens. So whatever that, what is that? 68 million? What is 68 times 10 million? $680 million. That's going to be given out not to one protocol, not in one chunk, right? That's just going to be like, it's extensive. So I don't think 1 week delay, 2 week delays, nor do I think even like a 1 or 2 week dip means that it's not going to be a bullish catalyst. It's just, so does that all make sense? I mean, ultimately my target is here. Not ultimate, but like as a trade, I think my next swing pivot is here. Maybe a little stop off here around the fib extension. So, that's why I was pretty quick to buy back some of what I took off at the loss of that thing today. FOMO'd back in part of my bag. So, ultimately I'd love to load here. We'll see. We'll see if Bitcoin wants to get it. Obviously on a day like today, you're thinking that's never going to happen. Well, that's possible. But the crazy thing is that, this could drip down in there even as things consolidate and move up. I think a coin we should be talking about today is Solana. So I hope that satiates your hunger for analysis on AVAX. Bottom line is I think over time it's going to be a multi-$100 coin. It's just a matter of opportunity cost, getting in the swings and trades, and after doing fairly well with it in September, like, do I want to put all that and keep that risk on the table and watch most of it come away just to continue later? Like, no, I'm a trader. I want to get out if I see things slowing down, and then just get back in if they pick back up. Ideally at a lower price, sometimes at a higher price. That's the name of the game. Now, here's Solana. Solana, the darling child of the post-spring bear market, absolutely exploding for like 700% off the $22 lows, and then just sliding down into this nasty little, what felt like, for a lot of people, a big, deep, nasty dip. Really only going down as low as 115, so it didn't even break back into the double digits. Sprung up off here, dripped into the reload zone, broke out of the trend line, retested it last week, was a friggin' awesome spot. What was that, the 28th? Yeah. It was a couple days ago. I don't know. I feel like we talked about this somewhere, maybe just Twitter. I don't know. But, it was a great spot to be thinking if you're that kind of like DCA reload zone guy. Now, I did average into this. I'd love to say I sniped this 618 and I was, doing all my normal plans, but it was actually just more casual. I looked through my FTX. I was like, oh, Solana's on the other side of the trend line. Starts to look pretty good. Bull buy volume starting to wake up. And so I picked some up at 139, somewhere through here. And today that's paying off. And it looks like the 4 hour close this morning gave us bullish market structure and nice breakout on volume. So don't be shocked if sometime in the next 2 months, Solana's back on everybody's radar. And more importantly than this, and more exciting perhaps than this, is the Solana ecosystem. What coins over there can we look at? I think Port Finance is one that I would look at because it is in the reload zone after a really nice breakout of volume during the last Solana thing. Is this down here? Full disclosure, I had an investment in that last year, so just a heads up, if you need to know that. But I did buy some just, off the market as a trade recently as well. But I am getting like a vested schedule on that. That's not why I brought it up. It's just, it's just one of the few finance projects on there that I really like. Now, SABER protocol is another one. You guys know I talked about, somewhere through the 23 cent range. Did not get out at the top like I wanted, but I did manage to get my initial back and then some through here because, again, it's not a centralized exchange, so it's, can't set stop losses, or whatever, take profits, trailing take profits. But I'm mostly out of SABER, and I did start getting back in through this reload zone. I think stablecoin swaps, bulls starting to wake up maybe a little bit down here. There's inflation stuff and all that. I haven't looked into all that yet. So just be aware that this could be, a vesting schedule or something that there's just so much going to be flooding the market. I have no idea, but from all the right people, I've heard that they like SABER and, relatively lower market cap, back to my entry at 26 cents. So I've started to build a position here. I think ORCA is one that I would like to have, even just the hint of somebody saying it could compete with Radium tells me that even just to get halfway to that as part of that narrative, could be worth a look. So at 650, I missed out, didn't get back in. This consolidation might be an area where I have to consider eating, biting the bullet and firing some off here. And what else is going on? Oh, you know what? We should take a look at Atlas. Star Atlas was super hyped launch, and look, now it's at an area where I can get interested. And look what's happening to the buy volume. Okay, so I don't actually own any of this yet, but I would like to. I would like to have a bag. If you go to their website and look at their trailer of their game, it's sick. It's really high quality. So, and FTX IDO, this thing's got good backing right away. You just know that from that. So, yeah, Atlas is going on my list. I'm actually writing this one down because I will forget that. But somebody mentioned it the other day, and I looked and I was like, damn, it's in the reload zone finally. So let's take a look at Atlas closer in the coming weeks. A lot of this going on in the market right now. So in many ways, September was a gift that perhaps we didn't deserve. Thought about complaining, price go down into reload zones. That should be something that's welcome. Generally speaking, for me it is, even though I hate looking at markets as they go down. It's just boring. But here we are, and it looks like another name where we might have a reversal. So very excited about this one. Nice NFT gaming play, and think apparently they have auctions coming up for some of the in-game NFT items. I don't know about all that. Not really my style. I have no alpha in regards to knowing which NFTs to buy when. But if you're super bullish on this, and if I am, then maybe I need to go buy a pirate ship or something, whatever they're selling. I don't know. Take some more vape. Nice tune. I like this one. Okay. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to keep going, though. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at Joe. Just pulling some ideas out of the chat. If I missed your idea because I didn't read up and I missed some of the chat, bear with me. You can repeat. Don't feel like you're harassing me if you repeat a question because you think I didn't see it. Just try not to spam the chat. I'll do my best to get it. Now, here's the thing about Joe. I'm super bullish on it, and it looks good. But the technician in me sees this. Sees it running up to highs. Great. Nice little dip. No big deal. And then pushing back to highs. No volume. Bulls not present. Zero interest from the bulls at that particular moment in time. So it failed, broke down, and now we have this kind of M structural failure top. Now, does that mean it has to go into a reload zone and fully reset, and it's a farm token now, and everyone's going to sell the rewards and suddenly stop holding their rewards? Possibly. But this is the bull case, where we just kind of, hit this 26 EMA, bounce up off here, consolidate a little more in what is otherwise like a short reload zone or a little fib pong, and then just continue higher later in the month. They did just get $20 million as part of the Avalanche Rush program, so that is going to drive more TVL there. Banker Joe coming out soon, Borrow Lend. I'm super bullish on them. Structurally, I have a bit of a problem with this chart. I am still holding some Joe. I've LP'd all of it in the Joe USDC pool, and that will kind of mute my downside volatility and upside volatility, but all the while along I'm just earning more Joe and then folding that back into the LP. It's not on Yak, so I can't auto compound it, but I just do it myself manual every couple days, and that's kind of where I'm at right now with Joe. I own significantly less than I did up until last weekend because, like I said, after this fail I just thought, oof, I don't know if I want to be that heavy. I was pretty heavy in it because you can use it to make money, right? You can farm. But then I just thought, look, I'd rather buy it cheaper, basically. And I know a lot of other people would, and I know a lot of people farming and holding and growing their stash will probably just capitulate and exit if there's any sign of weakness. So we may see that. If that is the narrative along with AVAX, right, where they both just kind of do that little slow dribbly down thing while everything else moons because AVAX just had a turn. Now we need a hot bottle of money somewhere else, maybe. Then that's a really good opportunity for someone like me who's got lettuce hands and has already cut their bags in profit, right? So, we'll see. Maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe I buy back higher. Maybe I get left behind. Those are the risks we take. But yeah. Don't know about all that. XDAI chain, also known as stake. I actually don't personally know anything about it, but a lot of people that I know that are smart like it, and it's actually on my watch list. Let's go take a look. Boom. Yeah, no, it looks good. It looks good. I think I traded it. When did I trade it? Oh, I think it was down here. Like, I don't know, 10s to 12s. I think I bought 10s, sold 12s. God, it could have been last year, to be honest. It's been a long time, but I don't have any. It's on my watch list for time now. Time. Every time I say the word time, I think about crypto now. Love it. We should talk about time. Been doing a little tweeting about it last night, the bonding and all that. We had a good voice chat about it yesterday as well. Yeah, this looks really good. Damn, maybe I should have some stake. There's so much of this in the market right now, guys. There's so many interesting setups coming in. Now, I know it's all like, okay, wait for that buy volume on Bitcoin Daily. It's hard. It's hard when you look at charts like this, and then you start thinking about the Bitcoin dominance and the thesis around like, should I be loading up into a bunch of altcoins? Well, look, there's also the whole like trade them against themselves, right? Like, who cares what Bitcoin does? If this thing versus USD looks like it's going to run, let it run. Don't overthink trying to get on the fastest horse, because it could just be wrong, right? Imagine missing out on this setup and 10 other altcoin setups just because I think Bitcoin dominance could run as high as this trend line, 58%. I really just on that, from that perspective, like what that would actually mean at 58%, I don't see it. I just don't see it. But that would be painful, the most painful part through this part. So anything up to here, the sick thing is like, I don't know, dominance can do pretty well and altcoins can do up well versus BTC. It's possible. Excuse me, versus USD. No, dominance going up is literally the opposite of altcoins doing well versus BTC. I meant versus USD. But yeah, looking at all these charts, I'm just like, should I even really be looking at Bitcoin dominance right now? Do I care? Only a little bit. I do hold some Bitcoin. I'd like to get up to 30% allocation to Bitcoin. Did I lose this stream? No, I think we're good. I'd like to get up to 30% allocation to Bitcoin. I feel like that's a decent base. I can even then trade in and out of it to altcoins if I want, but it gives me some, but it's not an overwhelming amount. And frankly, I just, even if Bitcoin runs to 100K, what is that, 2x? Not that exciting, bro. Like, when does stake get 2x? Just to pick on stake here for a second. Like here. Oh, like that's the equivalent of Bitcoin to 100K right here. 2x, boom. Way easier to do than Bitcoin to 100K. So yeah, that's why I trade altcoins. I guess all I want to say, and the only reason I look at dominance is because sometimes they're just out of season. They're just not there. I would argue that they are here right now. So maybe take back everything I said about dominance today. We'll see. But that's a pretty sick breakout, you know, really nice volume. Come right back into support, probably a little reload zone of some kind. And looks so ready, doesn't it? That's all it can be. All it can be is look ready. You never know if it is. Any pepper attack news? Oh no. Probably not. There could be. I got like a weird phantom bid. Oh, excuse me. I got a weird phantom bid in my inbox the other day for a pepper attack because I own the rarest one. My one claim to fame in NFTs, and there's no floor on that thing. Nobody cares about them. But they could do well. You know, they're building a game around it. People can use your peppers and rent them from you, and you can stake them and do all these things. So if that all comes through, and we get a few, you know, fancy people that decide to talk about them online, that might help a lot. Alts will should be better if you're looking to run up a stack. Yeah, exactly. Coach Popovic's talking truths. There'll always be capital looking to find higher returns, and regardless, yeah, agreed. Yeah, and you know, usually the wave of like, oh my god, alts are super wrecked versus Bitcoin, that's like the later part of any kind of rally in dominance. You know, down here as it's starting, it's not so bad, and then it'll just be like, ugh, and you just want to puke because your altcoins are just worth half as much Bitcoin as they used to be. So, frankly, I'm just trading against USD. I don't even know why I talked about Bitcoin dominance so much. It's more just because it's, you know, historically been something I've really enjoyed charting all through this, risk on, risk off, all that stuff. But, okay, I've got a phone call in 15 minutes, but let's keep it going. That's why I moved the stream today. You know, I'm an idiot. I missed a call yesterday completely, and then they rescheduled for 3:30 today, and I said, okay. Because when you miss a call and you stiff somebody, and then they offer you a new time, you take it. So we just moved the stream up a little bit. Earlier juice. Don't mind that. I'd be surprised if we get a BTC run like we've had in the past, unless we get the ETF. Yeah, Kevin Weiner, I'm inclined to agree, man. There's nothing about the market right now that tells me Bitcoin is just going to be stronger than alts. There's just really nothing. It's more just TA. You know, TA is just like, we're going to come up, see this 20 moving average at least, I think. From there, do we flip it? If we flipped that, I'd be uncomfortable. Because, you know, like uncomfortable in altcoins versus Bitcoin. Because like, look, we lost it here. We tagged it here. You know, trend is down. We're under that moving average. If we flip this, that's probably the next time I'll even bother talking about this. If we don't flip that, we're just, you know, we're just trending down. Like, whatever, right? But if we flip that, might be a good time to like shore up some of that liquidity, get into the Bitcoin train, ride the fastest horse. We'll see. Or maybe I'm just a boomer and that's 2017, 2018, 2019 talk. It's possible. It's possible. I've become a boomer in many parts of my life. Like gaming. I'm a gaming boomer. I've gotten to a point now where I get like 1 to 2 hours a week where I want to play video games or can play video games, and I go sit down and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a gamer today. And then I turn on my system, it's like update required, and I spend 1.5 hours downloading and installing updates on PS5. And then I'm tired and I go to bed. I don't actually play. So I am a gaming boomer. But I did play Warzone the other night. First time in a while. It was great. No one seems to care about AVAX bridge apes either. I may have rugged myself for buying a bunch of them. Yeah, I bought a bunch of them too, Billy. I wouldn't worry about it. I wasn't trying to flip them, to be completely honest. I probably should have bought less given what my plan was. I actually didn't keep track of how many I bought. I was just like, ooh, mint 20. And then 10 minutes later I was like, oh, mint another 20. And so I have a bunch of AVAX bridge apes, and look, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, is Bitcoin or is AVAX going to be this massive chain that's a top 1-2 punch with ETH or a top 5 punch with, you know, ETH, Solana, and whatever else? And if it is, the OG NFT sets like AVAX apes, AVAX bridge apes, they're, you know, maybe they're going to be something cool. That's kind of my thinking with that. I don't think about flipping these things too often because I don't know enough about them. And I don't want to be the guy who sells one for 2x and then they go 800x, you know, a month later. I think the NFT energy in the 10,000 mints is probably coming out of the market. So I'm probably late to the trough, and then we'll just see if we can get another crazy run up a little later. Yeah, Josh McGowan says he'll buy one off me. Bro, I'll sell you a 2 for 1. How's that? Because we're friends and I have too many. I think I paid 1.75 AVAX each. So Nintendo 64, yeah. GoldenEye, Mario Kart. two big ones. Okay, let's get. Did you get free crypto Viking? I don't think so. But yeah, actually do hit me up on Rocket Chat, Josh. Let's do business. We swap some AVAX for some NFTs. That's kind of it for today. Maybe like there's so many good looking charts. Oh, you know what? We should talk about time a little bit. Time. Now, like I have a pretty percentage wise in my portfolio, like sizable position in time. It's probably my biggest position. At a glance, you'll be like, wow, that looks ridiculous high risk. Like, wow, 40,000% APY, blah, blah, blah. I would just say look into Ohm. Look into Olympus DAO. Consider that the founder of Time is Daniel Sesta, like not founder, but like, the guy who developed it, put it together. So it's it's the Spell, AbraCrowd. He's confirmed that on Twitter. So it's not a secret. And in that sense, I feel like the idea of rug risk and stuff is essentially zero. He's running multiple projects. He's not the type of guy. He's already bailed out, a $30 million hack with $10 million of his own money, like, things like that. It's just not the guy. So I feel comfortable in that sense. And then I look at Ohm, which we can do right here on the stream. It's a fairly like kind of experimental protocol. It's what do you call it? It's some rebase algo stablecoin kind of thing, but not trying to be pegged to $1. Again, check out the content on it. I can share a little bit with you if you DM me. I've got a couple good summative articles. This came out and it was like, who knows if it's going to work? Well, people sold down at 158. They capitulated. They got the fuck out. It looked like it was going to zero. Oh my God. Well, it didn't. And it's just been ranging for a while. And it's just broken out of that range. Really, really nice volume coming in. Lots of selling here, like some sell volume. Also consider this is coin market cap data. So it's not like direct exchange data. So I don't know, obviously you want to see the big green bars. These are big red. So it's probably some whales taking profits. It is a rebase coin as well in the sense that it has high APY. If you just keep your Ohm staked, you get S-Ohm and that S-Ohm grows in your wallet. So all that to say that with Ohm looking the way it does, that namely bullish breakout on rising volume, despite these redder bars, like it is just a general trend towards, aggressive volume. And then you look at Time and it's the much smaller market cap, right? And we've got the growing volume and another nice spike in it today. And then Time also just went live on Abracadabra, meaning you can take your staked Time in the form of memories. Those are the tokens you get when you're staked. They just sit in your wallet and grow something like 1.5% each day. Anyways, incredible article I tweeted out the other day about this, kind of deep dives on it. Basically, like even with that crazy APY, if price were to just say drop 80% over a period of time, and you stayed staked that entire time, balls of steel by the way, but if you did, then you would actually end up not even being down that much. I think still up something like 80% over the period of 6 months in the event of like an 80-90% drawdown. I don't know those numbers exactly. I haven't run the math myself, but that was in the article. It's a fascinating protocol, fascinating concept. And there is a risk-free value, which is the assets that are locked in the treasury added together that basically would bail out this protocol if price were to crash. That risk-free value right now is something like $362. So when new bonds come into the treasury, that risk-free value climbs. And I put something out on Twitter yesterday, essentially encouraging people to explore the idea of bonding instead of just staying staked the entire time, because there are times when the bond ROIs go up above 8.5% at this point, that unstaking, selling some of your time, just say to maybe split it into an LP or split it into MIM or straight AVAX, and then just rebonding that, in fact, will outperform just having stayed staked that entire week. Not only that, but it will add to the treasury. So I think there's something there, because everyone involved in this protocol wins when that RFV, that risk-free value rises, and that happens as the treasury grows, and that only can happen if you bond. So I was doing some math yesterday with the guys in the pit, and yeah, anything over 8.5% actually outperforms staking that week if the APYs are around where they are now, which is like high 30, low 40,000s. So, mouthful. But those are my thoughts on Time. This thing just looks ready to move. I think it's still under 200 million market cap, which is, not too bad if you consider that it's kind of just trailing Ohm as far as like correlation goes. And Ohm is up, 79% in the last 2 weeks. So it's doing quite well. So I don't actually own any Ohm. I'd like to. I wish I did. Sad face that I don't. But let's see. The market cap on Ohm is 1.6 billion. The market cap on Time is 200 million. So, you know, is there a little room there? I think so. It's still early. And the nice thing is the fees are so low on AVAX that bonding on staking, all that stuff is like 12 cents. So those are my thoughts on Time. Chart looks bullish. I have a bag. Full disclosure, blah, blah, blah. All the good stuff. Let's get to the chat. Epic, what's happening to Teddy? SBF coming on CNBC soon. Okay, well, I don't want to keep you guys from SBF on CNBC. I do like hearing that guy talk. He's the voice of reason. I really enjoy him as a mascot. Like, not a mascot, you know, but like a spokesperson for crypto. I think he's really sharp. Really, really sharp. Shout out Blockmates for the article. Yes, Blockmates. That's where the article is from. Appreciate it. And there you go. So Blockmates, BLOK mates. And you can find that on my Twitter if you scroll back just a little bit. The guy's sharp and he did a really good deep dive on Time, Wonderland Money, all that stuff. So if you're interested, you can check that out. I saw Showtime 2X talking about that. Yep. 48K. Oh my God, is Bitcoin pumping? Okay, let's get back over to Bitcoin to end today's stream, or, you know, gather ourselves near the end. Oh my God. See, now, here's the thing. This is why when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, like, look, we got the breakout. It's happening. And I know at some point, from some level, that this zone will get tagged. You know, so if I, like, now it's up here, maybe at the end of the weekend it's up there. Like, it comes down here. It will. It just will. At some point, somewhere. Even if, you know, somebody's like, well, what if they announce an ETF is like tomorrow? It's like, okay, well, then it goes there. Like, whatever. It'll still come down here. So yeah, okay, I'm buying way higher. But you know what I mean? Like this 382 thing. And if, you know, if I'm scared, I might even front run the 382 a little bit, but it will come. But it's a daily, you know, it's a 4-hour chart, but it's even on the daily, like, it might take days. But the reason I just FOMO'd in 7% of my bags today, or whatever, like my cash position, was so that I don't give a shit. And it's like, got a little Bitcoin, you know, put it on the sheet. So yeah, let's take it to 48. Let's take it to 50 tonight. And I'll just enjoy that I have that little bit working for me. And then on a more like sizey, midterm swing, aggressive entry type trade, you know, I follow this up. Maybe it goes up to the 618. Maybe it comes down to here, this little VPVR. Yeah, who knows? But whatever it does, whenever that happens, I'll be there. I'll have my checkbook out. So, excuse me, sir, how much for the price of Bitcoin? I'd like to purchase some. And I'll get some. So that's the way it's going to be. Paul Paris, you missed it. We talked about Spell and ICE earlier ad nauseum. So zoom back a little bit in the stream a little later. And if you wait an hour, maybe two, our intern, Victor, is going to actually hook you up. He's going to put some hyperlinks on the video, so he can put a little chunk in there, tell you when we spoke about ICE. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Let's get back here. It's Friday. There's energy in the market. You can hear it in my voice. You know, Bitcoin's rallying. Altcoins are coming up out of reload zones, looking delicious. This stuff. Oh, my squad man just asked about Teddy. Okay, for you, bro. I got 10 minutes left till this call, so absolutely. Teddy doesn't look good. Somebody asked me this morning. I put these little lines on it just for fun. Sadly, it doesn't look good, but like, does it mean it's dead, or does it mean it's coming to fill somebody's late bid, like me? I don't have any Teddy. It's like an ugly fib too. All over the place today, mate. So look, yeah. Now, I don't know a thing about Teddy. If it's an inflation-y coin, then this is not good. Like, this is just not a place where I'm rushing to grab it. In that case, I'd be like a little more shy with my bidding, because I'm thinking farm rewards. I'm thinking run to the exit for a lot of people. So it may not be that. I feel like it is, but it may not be. But if it is, you know, this low is probably an area where I want to like be a buyer, whatever. Does it come in here? Does it just dip and go? But yeah, it does. You know, this is over. Obviously, it's broken down, and it might probably just take a little time to clean up. And if I'm wrong, and it's like, oh no, and then it's like reclaim this, sure, get in. Right? There might be an area where I can look at it. But for now, that initial, not even initial, it's been out since August, but this wave looks about cooked. My 2 cents. You know, New highs, ready to make new highs. Where were the bulls? They tried to come in, but yeah, somebody sold it. Somebody sold it off. So 618s are nice. 702s are nice. 786 are super nice. 886s feel gross, but they're pretty nice too. Any of those, if I wanted to average into this position, is what I'd be looking at. Otherwise, waiting for a bullish reclaim of that level. It's my hot take on Teddy. Admittedly, oh, Sam is live now. Okay, guys, get out of here. Go watch Sam on CNBC. I'm gonna go check Twitter, see if I can watch it for the next 8 minutes. Thanks for joining me today. Hit the like, hit the sub, hit the bell, all the good stuff. Follow me on Twitter at randomtask555. And whatever you do from now until next week, always play from a position of strength. Take care.